me ask you guys something. Have you ever worn a uniform? And if you've worn a uniform, let me ask you, have you worn it for something other than just the money or the fame? Maybe for something bigger than you. Tonight we're going to talk about something we don't normally cover here, but I think the weekend and the meaning behind it certainly brings it to light and makes it kind of necessary. Because let me tell you something. We celebrate this year after year after year. And never does it once factor in, at least publicly that I see, that we ever truly come around to understand exactly what it is to think about those we've left behind. We need to think about what those we've left behind mean to us today. It's not just what they did in their service, but what they are still doing. That's kind of one of the things I want to focus on tonight. So we're asking, what does it mean to serve the country? What does it mean when the battlefield changes, but the mission does not? I think that's a very fair and operative question, especially given what we're celebrating this weekend. Memorial Day is, to me, a day when we actually stop and think about not what's in front of us, but what's behind us. What led to us getting to where we're at today? The reason I figure all this out and I bring all this up is I read an article this week and it caused me to make a slight gut check and think about what is trucking? What is trucking made of? What are we dealing with on a day-by-day basis? What is it I'm fighting for? What is it I come to you guys week after week trying to convince you about all the time? This article I'm going to talk about is written by a veteran which turned trucking into something a little bit more than just a mission and a cause. He said something that stuck with me like diesel on your denim jeans. Okay. In this article, and I'm gonna link it down below, by the way, is there is no greater love than to lay down your life for another. I mean, to a lot of people that have never served in the military, they don't know what that means. And they really don't know what that encompasses. But long after salutes have stopped, long after things have been done, designed, and created, that spirit lives on today. Everything that the trucking industry does and gives to you is because of what some of these military men and women have done, not only contributing to the industry, but to allow us to get to the point where we are today. These veterans we're talking about, they don't think trucking's living up to its own legacy. There are some people in this article and those I talk to on an everyday basis that feel like we've got a long way to go. And tonight I'm going to talk to one or two of them that feel like trucking needs more. We don't just need more freight. We don't just need more purpose, but we need more of what the lifestyle of military men and women have fought for and died for and contributed to us. So I want you to sit down for a minute, grab your logbooks, go off duty, take a moment, tighten your load straps, settle in, because what's coming next is a slight offbeat discussion from what I normally do here, but it's one that I think truly needs to be had. We need to talk about trucking the right way. And we need to do things the way it was meant to be. The best way to get things done is directly from A to B. No doubt about it. Greetings, truck lovers. I am your host, Boss Man, the Chief Executive of the Truckin Broadcasting Network, welcoming you to yet another episode of Frontlines, the leader of the Institute for Advanced Critical Thinkers, a collaborative think tank of advanced trucking journalism, premier listener, and communicator in charge of the biggest movement in 2025. Goal is that we are sharing information and stories that help you become better. And this show is unlike any other like you've ever seen before. Yes, we do get tongue-tied here on live shows. We take stories, differing opinions, and we arrive at one outcome. In the end, our goal is to help make trucking great again. A recent article titled "Honoring Our Veterans and Steering the Future of Trucking" highlights the invaluable contributions of veterans to the trucking industry. It emphasizes how the discipline, the leadership, and the resilience honed in military service translate seamlessly into the demands of trucking. Mind you, I'm trying not to lose my spot here. This piece also discusses initiatives like the American Trucking Association's commitment to, a short time back, hiring over 100,000 veterans and federal programs designed to facilitate veterans' transition into trucking careers. I want to highlight a few things that may escape a lot of you. And these are just generic statistics. They've been said before, but I think it really highlights the obvious. Okay. 10% of all truck drivers, and that number is probably a lot different today, are veterans. According to the Census Bureau, 1 in 4 are truck drivers. Think about it. 1 in 4 truck drivers are veterans. And it highlights the professional significance that most people see coming out of the military. Everybody that doesn't do military service, they all think, well, there's a segment of military that's just specifically designed for people going to trucking. That's what I used to think. And if you went into the military service and did something called motor pool, oh, that's how they all. No, believe it or not, there are specialists that do nothing more than infantry, that do logistics, that do support, that do jobs you and I probably would not even imagine exist today. But yet they come out of the military and here they are driving trucks. So one has to ask why. Veterans in trucking have demonstrated exceptional performance metrics, including 42% fewer accidents and 68% fewer involuntary terminations. Think about that. Why is it, according to statistics, military men and women actually last longer in trucking? There's got to be some smoke where there's fire. Think about that. This article serves as a catalyst for a broader conversation. How can we as an industry adopt a more purpose-driven approach to build a better future for trucking? Well, by recognizing the unique skills veterans bring, we can implement targeted training programs, mentorship opportunities, and supportive policies that not only honor their service, but address the industry's challenges. This purpose-driven mindset ensures trucking remains a viable and fulfilling career path for those that have served. And what's better is it also opens up possibilities for those that have no idea what it means. Think about, by bridging one thing with another, we can make one industry wholesome and sustainable. Now, before we charge down the next mile marker, I want to hit the brakes for just a second. Not to stop, but to make space, because what you're about to hear isn't theory. This isn't politics. It's not policy. It's personal. It's real. It's the fuel that powers the movement to make trucking great again. I've got 2 men on the panel with me today that aren't just truckers. They're actual veterans. And they're not just hauling freight. They're hauling decades of discipline, decades of sacrifice, decades of pride. They encompass things that you and me out here have never served at military. We have no idea the things they've been through, what they've done, and what they know, and what possibly they can even offer trucking. Yet they've served this country in uniform, and they've served it again by being part of our industry. Over top 18 wheels, in the boots, doing the job most of you and I take for granted. Listen close. This is done because they're here to say something loud and clear. One of the things I've been preaching since I started this channel is I've said trucking needs more. One of the things I say that we need more of is respect, more brotherhood, more purpose, better leaders, better decisions. So right now, I'm not going to sit here and preach all this. Well, you've already heard it. You've already seen it. You've got an entire library of videos, 200 plus. Watch them at your leisure. But I'm going to let you hear from them directly. I want you to know what it is they think, what they feel, and how it is what they do every day affects what you see, affects what you do. Now, here to talk about their time in the service and their road into trucking, I want to introduce two of my more common panelists, Dollar and Thumper. I'm going to bring them up here just a minute. In the meantime, what I want you to do watching this show, if you're watching this and you're at least in the slightest intrigued, I want you to grab your phone, call 860-785-3547, 860-785-3547. Give us a shout, contribute your mind and your part to what you think Memorial Day should be all about, and what you think trucking has to offer you, or how the military's maybe affected your ability to do that job. I want to hear from you. 860-785-3547, 860-785-3547. Let's talk to some people that I'm pretty sure have a very hands-on and very personal contribution to make to this wonderful topic. Thumper, give it a start. Tell me about your time in the service and your road into trucking. Let me know what it means to you.
Well, I joined when I was 17 years old, junior in high school. Did my basic training, and then I went back to high school and got shipped out the day I graduated, actually.
Wow.
I joined the Air Force, which a lot of people give me crap for. Oh, yeah, you just sit behind a desk. No, I was an MP, so I got to travel a lot from the moment I graduated high school. Like I said, I got deployed. I did 4 tours, got injured. And my unit, we it wasn't just all Air Force. We were actually they called us the Misfits. And it was the Army, the Air Force, the Navy. There was one Navy guy there, Marines, and yeah, and it's just we're all MPs, which is military police. So we guarded missiles, did special transports, and um, yeah, did like did missions that a lot of people didn't know about. So,
And how did that? Not to cut you off, but I got a kind of a method in my madness. How did your service in the military lead you into your road into trucking? How did you equate one into the other? How did you make that transition?
I wouldn't say it led me into trucking because I grew up around trucking. So, I mean, it was kind of already in my blood.
Mhm.
But the one thing the military has helped on is meeting deadlines and, trying to do your job
Right.
perfect without error. And I mean, there's a lot of discipline in the military. At least there was when I was in.
I'd like to hope it's still there.
Not from what I heard, no.
Well, we won't go there. That's not tonight's debate topic. But yeah. So what was the thing that actually made you
You
see
motherfucker,
trucking as being something you? I mean, there's as many people as I've talked to in service. I've heard that there's always that bridge of there being the same kind of mission doing something like trucking as one would have had in service related duties. So can you talk about that? There's a similarity.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I got distracted for a second.
Hey,
I'm out on I'm enjoying. I guess I was kind of thinking of starting this a little bit different, so I'm kind of throwing for a little bit of a loop, and we're me and Larry the trucker are actually out fishing right now, and he just caught a fish, so I got distracted.
by all means, man, distract all you want, man. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, no, I mean, let it happen. Dollar, what about yourself? Talk about your contribution to life, society, what you did in the service, and how it made you get into trucking.
Well, first of all, I've never been in the service. My
Okay.
brother is currently a Marine.
Okay.
He's been in for 18 years as a Marine. My brother-in-law was in Army for 25 years, a reservist for 10 of it.
Okay.
I've got a cousin that was in the Marines, actually two cousins that were in Marines. So it's been around my family, but I think the thing that leads a lot of guys to it is because of the structures. They can keep their structure that they've had in the military by
Right.
driving truck, because this is what you do, this is how you do it, and this is what you do.
Okay. Let me ask you this: have you lost family members as a result of military service?
The one cousin that I have that was a Marine, um, we almost lost him because of a roadside IUD.
Because I mean, that's what this whole holiday is about: remembering those we've lost.
Yeah,
Now, I
My
mean, you can talk about that in the physical sense, or you can talk about that in the more abstract sense. But either way, someone's been through a traumatic time that poses a problem. So,
my
um,
grandfather was in the Army. He was over during Korea. Um, I can't remember. I think I've had other cousins in relation that have been in the Army, Air Force. I've got two nieces that were in the Air Force actually. I've got there's a lot of my family that has went into the military, and it's a change to see them when they come out because they have to do things a certain way.
yeah, obviously, yeah, yeah,
well, you get into a routine, doing stuff, and it's really hard to break that routine. I mean, I catch myself still doing some of that routine.
hmm
But
yeah,
it's the routine that keeps you moving.
right,
I believe that's a lot of it in trucking too, because in my fair share of trucking years, I've met a lot of guys that were from the military,
yep.
and a lot of them have said it was one thing that they could constantly count on to be the same.
Thumper, let me ask you this: try to put you back on track because you got distracted a minute ago. So,
Sorry.
focus, my man, focus, focus. When you look back on your time in the service, what was it about that lifestyle? The structure, the mission, the brotherhood. You opine on what you think is most important. But out of those things, what is it you feel is missing or fading in today's trucking industry? We've had a lot of discussions in the past about this very thing, never from the military service standpoint, but from other reasons and other. So put yourself in your military head for just a second. And when you look back on your time, what is it about that lifestyle specifically that, whether it be structure, mission, or brotherhood, or any of the things I mentioned, that you feel is missing or fading today that we could benefit knowing about?
I mean, the brotherhood, the helping each other out when we really need it, seeing
Yeah.
someone broke down on the road. I mean, yes, we do a lot of shit talking because we're truck drivers. It's the
Yep.
mentality and stuff, but there's a lot of it's gotten worse, I guess we could say.
Yeah.
It's not the poking around fun anymore. It's actually it's I've actually seen it wreck some people's lives.
Yeah.
And that's not fair to them, and it's not fair to our industry, because then we start getting a reputation on, oh, this is how you guys act. And
Do you think a lot of that has to deal with the fact that not everybody is on the same page? And I kind of use that as a loose term, but when you think about it, when you compare today's industry with the way things were, let's say, even 20 years ago, I mean, it's a complete day and night transition. You know, you
yeah,
spoke of the word brotherhood. I'm talking about, to me, camaraderie, which to me is the same thing. It's the same language. Camaraderie is a thing you guys use in the military, but brotherhood to me is something I'd like to associate with trucking today. But it's kind of hard to do when people in the industry don't even speak our same language.
no, well, in the military, you work with people that don't speak the same language as you.
True, true.
When
How do
you're
you guys bridge that, by the way? How do you
when
guys get over that?
you learn, you
Mhm,
adapt and overcome.
mhm.
You know, they learn our, like, there was one guy that was assigned, I wouldn't say he was part of our unit, but he was assigned to our unit, and all of us actually became really good friends with him, and he was an Iraqi, and that's what that was his number one language. He tried teaching us some of his language so we understood, and he learned our language to help us out in the the field and stuff. I mean, I'm not saying in the trucking today that's what we need to do, but what I'm saying is there was common ground there that we had to learn from each other. And nowadays in the
Right.
trucking world, everybody's like, nope, you're not from here. I don't want anything to do with you.
It's
You're
every man for himself mentality, which
it
doesn't
is.
seem, yeah, it doesn't seem to jive with the way things, even in the time I've been in the industry. I mean, it seems to have almost changed overnight, and
And why
it's
is
not the
that?
same. That that's a whole nother topic in itself. Um,
We
because
could discuss it for days.
you'll never find a military brigade doing that. It's never one man for himself. It's always the team. It's always the unit.
It's always
Never
no man
an
left
individual.
behind.
Pretty much, exactly. So that's kind of where my channel got started in its mission, because you're never going to get anywhere alone. You're always going to get more done when you have the backing and support of a team. And in this case, with trucking industry, the team is the industry. So I think we have a lot to learn from the military and the service of those men that have learned the lifestyle, and more importantly, those that have paid the ultimate price. Um, what say you, Dollar? What do you think in terms of that question? You know, what do you think can be learned from that lifestyle, or maybe missing or fading beyond what we've talked about?
Oh, where do you start and where do you stop? There's so many things that have changed. I'm sitting here on a 70-degree day with the wind, and I'm in long sleeve shirts.
Yep.
You know, and I look like I'm going trucking today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that's what I always seen was Western shirts, blue jeans. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you had your guys that wore tennis shoes, which, yeah, I give them shit. But you know what? If you put on your cowboy boots and taking them off 15 times a day, tennis shoes are way easier.
Yeah, exactly. They
You
always
know,
are. Yep.
and I'll admit I run around with hey dudes on when I'm in my truck because it's easier to put them on than my cowboy boots all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
But I
you
will not
drive
wear
you
flip flops.
drive what you're comfortable with.
Well, I
Yeah, well,
drive
even
with just my socks or my feet. I don't.
even
I just
the
wear 'em when I
government
get
wants
out.
to tell you what you can and can't put on your feet too. So be careful. We don't want to send the wrong message there too.
They do. I mean, when you're in the military, all you do is you wear pretty much hiking boots.
Well, you're not
hiking boots.
exactly going to want to engage the enemy with nothing on your feet. That doesn't make like a very smart decision.
What are you talking about? They ran around in flip flops.
Oh, you're saying it started there, did you? Oh, okay. You heard it here. You heard it here first, folks, on Truckin City. Thumper, let me ask you a question. What do you think was the biggest shock to you when you were transitioning from military service into regular civilian life? Now, I got the question written as the trucking industry, but you indicated a minute ago you didn't just go from one to the other. But think about it. The biggest shock to you when you got out of the military, having to get out of that mindset and get into regular life, what was the biggest shock to you?
Being able to grow a beard. I mean, seriously, that is.
Really?
I mean,
You want to grow a beard? What do you call this?
I'm working on it. But anyways, no, I mean it is. It is a different lifestyle. Yes, there's still some people who carry that you're up at 5:30 in the morning lifestyle and you go to bed at a certain time, and that, which helps in the trucking world depending on what you're doing. My line of work, it's a little different because I'm up all night and sleep during the day. But the hardest thing is it wasn't so much in the military. You were being told what to do every second of your day.
Yep.
You were on a schedule to use the bathroom. You're on a schedule to eat breakfast. You're on a schedule to supper and lunch or dinner. You know, when you were on your weekend pass or whatever, you had a little more freedom and stuff, but that Monday through Friday mentality, you were on a schedule, like a strict schedule, the same schedule every day.
Yep.
Or like when PT would roll around, that was once a month. You were, once you knew it on this exact day, the 15th or whatever day you were doing PT, and then the rest of you're doing your other job and stuff like that. But the transition is like having the freedom and not being told what to do.
Yep.
That was the biggest challenge right there.
Yep.
Because there was times like when I first got out, I it's like that movie Talladega Nights with Ricky Bobby. What do I do with my hands? It's just like that's how I felt.
Yep. Yep. Want to recognize a couple audience members. My daughter in the audience. Welcome to my daughter, Ari. Tolga, oi, thank you for joining us, my friend. Seven C's actually made a good point. He said, don't get it twisted. Memorial Day isn't about being a veteran. It's about our fallen brothers and sisters. And I thought I perfectly pointed that out at the intro. If not, Seven C's, go back and watch the intro. The idea of Memorial Day is not about those here. And it's not about being part of a military service. No, it's about those that are not here. It is fully about that. But the whole purpose of today's show, I felt, was necessary to bring about things I think we need more of in this trucking industry. By remembering those that aren't here, we by default give their purpose more credibility and more. They don't die in vain. They're not forgotten, and they never will be. So that's the purpose in today's show. So, but good point you make, Seven C's. I totally get that and respect it entirely.
There's a saying, and a lot of people know this saying. Some gave all gave, or all gave some gave all.
Yeah, I don't know the exact word, but I know that I know
that's what it is. I'm one of those people that gave some.
Yeah.
The ones that are not here are the ones who gave all.
Yeah. This is like my my thumbnail, I said it's last measure of devotion, I think is what I put there. Or last full measure is what I put. I think it's, yeah, same thing. I mean, it's totally incredible to even think about. I mean, Jesus. I mean, it's, yeah. Um, I can't say enough about it. You know, I can't wrap my head around it. Um, but more to the point, to follow up to what we just talked about, what did you expect to find, and what did you actually find when it comes to transitioning? And use trucking as an example. I mean, did you expect it to be easy, and what did you find it to be?
Oh, they flat out. Well, I mean, at least my commanding officers, they flat out said, um, they're like, it's gonna be difficult, you know, having the freedom to go do what you want, and it was actually kind of funny because one of them looked at me and said, "Yeah, we'll see you in 2 years."
There's Bo.
Yeah, he's enjoying himself on the boat.
Yep.
But yeah, he goes, "Yeah, we'll see you in 2 years." Because I
Mhm.
was, I tried to follow everything to a T,
Yeah.
and I I got out. Well, that was I was on the when I got out. I got out on medical discharge.
Mhm.
But before I got out on medical discharge, I was actually coming up on my contract.
Mhm.
So that's why some of those words and stuff stick with me. But I mean, honestly, if I could go back today, I probably would.
Mhm.
Um,
It's good to know. Good to know. Well, I got a question. Dollar, do you think that the trucking industry pays enough attention to what veterans offer, or do you feel like we need to do more?
I don't think they pay enough. I think we could pay them more,
Mhm.
but I mean, knowing the guys that get in there and know what they're doing, I mean, it's a 50-50 depending on which way you want to look at things.
Mhm.
I believe our government doesn't pay enough to our veterans, enough attention. The trucking industry actually pays more attention to them than our own government. They make them fight for their rights, for their health care that they get because they're given it.
Mhm.
I know trucking companies that if you're a veteran, you need to be home for something, they will make sure you're home.
Right.
If you're oh, I know of several of them that are they do reserves, and they're made sure they're home twice a month for their stuff, and they give them all the time they need.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
I know.
I would like to say thank you to all our servicemen that are still in, the ones that are out, to give us the glory and the everything that we appreciate every day that a lot of people take for granted.
Every freedom, every right we have because of those that are not here. Amen to that. I fully believe that.
A lot of men have lost their lives over the years
Mhm.
protecting this country.
Yes, they have. They have indeed. Thumper, do you think it's just what he said? Do you think it's more we need better values and better training for these people, or do you think it's just a convenient bullet point that they put on a recruiting flyer for most major companies? What do you think?
so what it is? It's exactly what it is. It's publicity. It's like, oh yeah, we hire veterans, but they don't care.
Yeah.
I've seen I have many friends that are in the trucking that are veterans, and they end up going and getting their own truck because the company is like, oh yeah, we value our veterans. We do this, we do that. No, that's just them trying to fill a truck. You're just a
Mm,
number.
yeah.
And uh, it's not right just saying that just because the veterans and stuff like that. I mean, that should be for everybody, but it's just the veterans don't get treated the way they should.
No, they don't. No.
um I kind of quit telling people I was in the military. It's just there's no value in it anymore like it was when I got out. It's just nobody cares. It's like
People don't look at the service the same way. They
it's
really don't.
this weekend. Everybody's it's the first day of summer, and first weekend of summer, and it's barbecues and do this.
Graduations.
Yeah, celebration. Do that.
90% of people look at this weekend as a matter of convenience. It's a time where they don't have to work. They can drink a couple of cases of beer. They can have a great cookout, see family members they don't normally see. But 90% of them, the entire weekend is lost on them. They have no idea why we even have it, what it comes down to. I think a lot of people are actually in that camp. I really do. You know, and I really think that there's actually a small portion of the time in our history where that actually wasn't the case. You guys know when that was?
When was that?
2001. The day the towers fell, everybody was on board and everybody realized how important military service was. They were thankful to see the fighter jets flying over top. They were thankful to see the National Guard patrolling streets where normally that never happened. But prior to that, they didn't give a damn. Every Memorial Day, they didn't think about it. They didn't think twice about it. But that holiday took on a different meaning after 2001.
But why does the tragedy have to bring a country together?
I know it's kind of disturbing to think about, isn't it?
It's if you look at it from that point of view, it's still like trucking. When the government throws out the rule book, all of a sudden trucking, everybody's good. Everybody likes a trucker.
Yeah.
But when the rules are in place, they're a pain.
Yeah. It's different when it doesn't affect you. But when it affects you, it completely changes everything, doesn't it?
But if you really sit down and think about it, if it wasn't for our veterans and our Army military personnel now, we wouldn't have what we have.
Well, I mentioned a statistic earlier. 1 in 4 veterans are truck drivers. So that pretty much paints it as 25% of the industry.
You know why?
Why is that?
Because besides the schedules and the deadlines and stuff that we're used to, is a lot of those veterans that are in truck driving have been in a war. And they can't be around people because of their PTSD or the memories and the stuff that they saw. They need to be alone. That's why I became a truck. That is one of the, besides growing up in the industry, that is part of the reason why I became a truck driver. I get told where to go and where to drop off, and then I'm left the hell alone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one other panelist that isn't with us tonight mentioned the solitude. I mean, think about that. Solitude, for some of you guys in the service, that actually means something because solitude allows you guys to heal.
Yeah.
It can and it can't.
Well, I'm just thinking that it's to those of you that actually made it home, not discounting those that didn't, but you guys have a lot to work through, and you guys got a lot of things you have to work out.
So when you get discharged from the military, you know what they do? They don't prep you. They don't do anything like that. They're like, here's your papers that you signed. You're discharged. See ya. There's the door.
That's what my brother does in the military right now is he helps them move back into civilian life, how to get out of the restrictions, how to adjust to it, because that's, they've had more people have problems. So they found that it's easier if they help them move out now and get them back into civilian life, because most guys don't understand what's going on in civilian life anymore.
Oh,
good to know. Good to know.
No, I still
good.
don't know what's going on half the time.
Yeah.
One of your
Well,
truck
actually,
drivers.
that leads me to a very valuable question, Thumper. That you bring that up. I'm going to ask you guys, and I'm sure that you both have your own answers. I have one in particular. I'm going to save mine for the last one, but let me ask you this, Thumper. If trucking could adopt one thing from military culture to make the industry stronger, both not only stronger but more unified, and more meaningful, what would that be?
Put food in my
In
belly.
your best judgment, what would that be?
Give me food.
Really?
No, I
If it could adopt one thing from military culture, what
working
thing do you
together.
think would actually help make it better?
Working together. And what I mean by working together, none of this yelling at each other because over a freaking parking spot or throwing your piss jug in the parking lot, or the respect and being able to work together whether you're in the same company or not.
Mhm.
That'll make this industry a hell of a lot better than what it is if people could actually work together. And that's not just a military standpoint, that's just in general.
Right. What about you, Dollar? What do you think? If you think one thing could be gleaned from military lifestyle to make trucking great again, what do you think that one thing would be in your estimation?
Well, I agree with Thumper on that, but I also agree that, the training, the know-how, because they kept working with you until you got it right. They didn't give up. If they gave up, they moved you to a new position and started training all over again.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I believe that is good in that way. Going with what we have in our industry today, I believe training would be that much better.
All right. Discipline and work ethic, for sure, says Tolga. Good choice, my friend, because that kind of leads into what I think this industry needs more of. So let me tell you my thought on this. The one
So
thing that the military, hold on, Thumper, the one thing I think the military lacks, or excuse me, the one thing that the military excels in that trucking lacks, in my estimation, in my opinion, is leadership. And that comment totally you're leaving discipline and work ethic, I think all leads into it. Because if we have the right kind of leadership, I think this industry is unstoppable. But currently, the way things set right now, with very few exceptions, I think leadership is lacking. So, what all I know of the military, I think the one thing that we could definitely use as a strength that would definitely help trucking and help to make trucking great again is leadership. What do you guys think?
I totally agree with you. I believe all three of us are correct on what could help the industry.
Yep. I kind of cut you off there, Thumper. Was I kind of leading into the same direction you were, or no?
no.
No. Well, don't let me cut you off. I mean, this is
No.
actually
I'm
the
trying.
Thumper show too.
I got like four things I'm thinking about right at the moment. I'm just trying to figure out what order I want to put this in. No, I agree. The leadership, yes.
Yeah.
Discipline, not today's military.
No.
Because I got a buddy who went through basic training about 3-4 years ago, and I was asking him, and he was in the Army. And I'm not saying all the branches are like this, but this tells you what our society is now. When he went to basic training, they gave him a red card and a green card. You know what those red and green cards are for? The red card was for if your feelings got hurt, you need to go to your safe space. And the green card is, I'm hurt, but I could survive. That's our
When did they start
military
that?
nowadays. That is
When
our
did they?
military.
When
I don't
did they
know.
start that?
I don't know, but it's been about 4 or 5 years now when he went to basic.
Mm.
So
None of
you
that
want
was mentioned. Well,
you want to
I have
support? Yes, we need the old school military where the freaking drill sergeant walked up to you and fucking knocked your goddamn tooth out because you pissed wrong.
right. Those of you
Today,
watching right now, if you've got a similar story, anything to add, anything to contribute, go down below, hit the like button on this broadcast. But believe you me, we are better as an industry if you leave your comments in the chat or decide to call us on our studio line 860-785-3547. Either way, help a brother out. Make trucking great again. And you do that by contributing. Let us know what you think of what we're talking about today. Honestly, leadership today in the military is nothing like it once was. You ain't going to find a Patton out there. You ain't going to find somebody like George C. Scott, like trying to add and emulate and is pictured on movies. You know, there is no true leadership.
well, I mean,
Um,
the military nowadays, everything's all drone this, drone that.
I gotta
yeah.
go. I'll be back.
All right,
Hey, take your time, man.
but everybody's like drone this, drone that.
Mhm.
I was in the era where the drones were starting to come in,
Mhm.
but we were still the ones who carried a M16 and ran right in the middle of battle. You know,
Yep.
yes, the
Didn't
technology has
wait.
changed. It's saving people's lives. I understand that, but the, you can't
It's just
forget
like,
about. You
well, it's
can't.
just like trucking today. I mean, as much as they're trying to add all this technology and all this advancement and all this safety, is it really worth? I mean, yeah, it's helping, but it's not changing trucking the way they think it is. You know, say, I mean, the same argument you're making with what you just said is what I'm saying about trucking. You know, one comes before the other. You know, good leadership is where it starts. You could take a drone all day long, and you could take a piece of technology and put it in a truck all day long, but it doesn't change good decision making, good instinct, guts, the ability to make the right decisions. You're not going to find technology and AI making those calls. That happens from people. That happens from people like those that have died long before we were here. You know, that kind of intellect. And that's where we come full circle in today's show, I think.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, and we really can't forget. You know, and yes, we're talking about the military and trucking and stuff, but this weekend is about the ones who did not come home.
Yep. Yep.
And the ones who did come home injured, they didn't come home either.
Yep.
Part of them is still wherever they got injured at. You don't
Yep.
mentally, you don't fully recover from that.
No. When you're on the
Physically,
road, Thumper, when you're out there doing your job day after day, you're alone in that cab. Do you ever feel like you're still serving a mission? Or do you feel like that's changed?
it's not fun anymore. At first, yeah, I felt like I was still serving my country, getting goods across the United States, but now it's just it's a job. It's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I got a group of friends and stuff that, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, you're a good friend of mine. Dollar's a good friend of mine. Larry's a good friend of mine. Everybody on the panel's a really good friend of mine. But there's just some things that I can't call you guys in the middle of the night and talk to you about.
Right.
And it's not because I don't
Imagine how
trust you.
true that is for so many people like you.
Yeah, it's not that I don't trust you guys. It's just you've never been in that situation.
Imagine how many people are watching this show, either right now or on the replay, that take this holiday for granted. They don't know exactly what it is we're talking about here. They have no idea. People just don't know.
They don't.
They don't. I mean, it's just another holiday to them. But when you think about it, most holidays that I know of have purpose. This is the one that's publicly announced and it's called out that honestly is different for everybody. It to me is a more somber holiday than it is a holiday like you would for Christmas or Thanksgiving or totally different thinking and a totally different purpose. You know?
It is. You brought up Christmas, and that was kind of hit a nerve with me right there too. People forgot what that holiday is all about too. They
Yeah.
just think it's gifts and time off. No,
Yeah.
we're losing our roots.
Yeah, we are.
Not
I
just
agree.
from the military or anything like that.
Yeah.
We're losing what these holidays actually mean. Like, I remember growing up and Halloween was, the big thing. Everybody wanted to do Halloween, go trick or treating, celebrate the haunted or the Hallows Eve, which is, the haunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now when somebody says Halloween, it's just a bunch of people.
Everything is
That's
commercialized. It's all
no,
commercialized.
no, it's
Well, I mean, when you think about it, it is.
Halloween is a free pass for women to dress up slutty and not get judged.
But what do you think about it realistically? Most of the holidays, not including this one, most of them are commercialized.
It
They're
is.
generated in a sense to be able to increase profits and awareness for something that has absolutely nothing to do with the true purpose of the holiday.
It's just
You know,
like Veterans Day. That's coming up in September.
yeah, I didn't want to bring that up because I don't want to tarnish what we're doing today, but think about it. For years,
no.
people thought of Christmas as a commercial holiday. It was a time to advertise. Black Friday became known for what it is because it was a commercial thing. It made Walmart what it is today.
Yeah.
Sorry, Walmart, you suck. Black Friday, no, I don't do it. But anyway,
But no, we're losing track of what we're talking about. No, today is about our fallen heroes.
it is. It is.
And you know what? It's not just military. Our firefighters, people who run into burning buildings to save people, lost their lives. That's what this day is for them. This day is for the great presidents of the United States who served this country to make it what it, well, I shouldn't say all the presidents are great, but it's the people that this holiday is firefighters, military personnel. I hate to say it, politicians, the great politicians, police, EMTs, people who give their lives to make this country what it is. That's what this holiday is about.
It is.
Not a 3-day fucking holiday. Not a 3-day or about. I really shouldn't be talking because I'm sitting on a freaking boat right now.
Yeah, you don't want to pull the plug on that one because we want to.
But
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this because I want to wrap this up on the right note, and I want to put us in the right mindset for what I'm about to do here. What do you think honoring the lifestyle means to you, and what would you have to change for trucking to truly feel like that brotherhood you talked about earlier? Think about that.
I'm trying. There's no right answer. It's not just trucking. This country is fucked.
Well, in a large sense, I think we're starting to make a difference because the brotherhood is a lot easier when everybody has the same mentality. I mean, think about it. As we reflect on the sacrifices made by those who served before us, let's remember one thing. Their commitment to duty doesn't end with their military service. Many of us continue to serve our nation by ensuring the steady flow of goods across the nation. Being a trucker in itself is a lot similar. It's not the same because you can't compare military service with anybody else ever. It's a fundamental duty and right to give your life for your country. But to all those that are veterans and all those that are actively serving, I salute you and your dedication because it's people like you that actually make what we do out here possible. God bless you guys. I have a great way that we can give trucking a chance to change and help others in service to this country as well as those that we're talking about today. I'd like you to become part of a Discord discussion podcast that I have on a weekly basis. Thumper's part of it. He can attest to this. It's called Trucking Unhinged. On Wednesdays, we host together our shows along with this to talk about things truckers face on an average daily basis that really need to be seen more, heard more, and talked about more. We do this because we want to make a change. We want to help make trucking great again. When is that show every Wednesday? You tell me. What time does that show up all the time on Wednesdays, Thumper?
It's actually so Truckers Unhinged was made by Dollar, me, Hammy, Ryan Bray.
Yep.
We're all your hosts, and
I'm giving you all guys props. You tell me the time. I want people to be able to see
Yep.
this and join you guys because your mission is just as true as mine.
It's Wednesdays at 1:30 at 1:30 p.m.
Mhm.
If we cannot make it at 1:30 p.m., we push it back to like between 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time.
Right. Okay.
The discussion is we don't care about language. We don't care about. We want what you guys think. We want to know how you guys feel. If you want to come in there and yell at us because you think the world is on fire or whatever,
Yeah.
that's fine. That's what it's all about. We go into more concept. We don't have a time limit. We go as long as we think is appropriate. And
Yep.
we want just like you, we want to hear everybody's opinion.
Yep. This week we're going to be talking about things that basically are going to dovetail off this conversation. We're going to talk about the problem with trucking today. And my thing is, the problem isn't the drivers. The problem is the decision makers. We've got a battlefield of leaders that I think we need to make changes. We need to make certain things known to the leaders of this industry. So it's time we flip the script, and I encourage you to tune in on Wednesday to hear what it is we're talking about. Look us up, Trucking Unhinged on Discord. Look, those in service to our country are giving their last true measure of devotion. We need to stop and give them a thought and think about what they truly lost on today's society. What they lost is the recognition. We don't pay enough attention to them. We don't pay enough to them. They're gone. They're not here. But they gave something. They gave up something. Fighting to defend a way of life that we take for granted. It was once mentioned in a tribute to our men and women from the late Ronald Reagan, where I think we should stop and reflect on what this day really means. Before I play that, I want to say something on behalf of me, myself, my family, and everyone here at Truckin City Media, the panelists, and everyone that's ever come along and touched our show. We welcome you to be a part of the journey to make trucking great again. I want to thank every military member out there for their service to the country and their sacrifice to those that didn't make it. That can never be repaid and summed in any words and felt in any reality whatsoever. And I hope you guys realize that. God bless you. Thumper, what say you, my friend?
Well, this holiday is not just about veterans. It's about everybody who's gave everything they had for this country, who's lost their lives, who weren't able to become fathers, weren't able to become grandfathers, grandmothers, even mothers, aunts, uncles. They joined the military, or they joined their line of service to believe what they could do for their country. And we need to bring those morals back. We need to start seeing that again, start loving our country, start fighting for one another. So for all the ones that had lost everything out there, this salute is for you.
Amen.
And we can't forget the fallen.
Mhm.
So, and as I normally end every show, God bless everybody. God bless military. God bless the EMTs, firefighters, police. We need to start showing a little bit more love. And as Bo and I always say, we don't do it just for us and our families. We do it for you guys.
Some time back, I received, in the name of our country, the bodies of 4 Marines who had died while on active duty. I said then that there is a special sadness that accompanies the death of a serviceman, for we're never quite good enough to them. Not really, we can't be, because what they gave us is beyond our powers to repay. And so when a serviceman dies, it's a tear in the fabric, a break in the whole, and all we can do is remember. It is, in a way, an odd thing to honor those who died in defense of our country, in defense of us, in wars far away. The imagination plays a trick. We see these soldiers in our mind as old and wise. We see them as something like the founding fathers, grave and gray-haired. But most of them were boys when they died, and they gave up 2 lives, the one they were living and the one they would have lived. When they died, they gave up their chance to be husbands and fathers and grandfathers. They gave up their chance to be revered old men. They gave up everything for our country, for us. We owe them a debt we can never repay. All we can do is remember them and what they did and why they had to be brave for us.